So, good morning, everybody. It is Jillian. And yeah, yesterday's video was extremely important because I wanted you guys to see that I can respond to people's issues and concerns and all of that. And I can let them paint me however they want to paint me and let it sit there and marinate. Okay? I mean, I could have responded the same way they did yesterday a couple months ago when I had the book come out, but I was dealing with my dog Sugar and of course being distracted by everyone in my ear about my dog Sugar. And so everything had to take a back seat until my dog Sugar was taken care of and figured out. And so then once that marinated and the trolls and people that were questioning my methodologies, once they got a hold of that and let them, emote and process that, it obviously came out in the reviews. And so then I can actually kill two birds with one stone. I can address their concerns about sphincters and all that stuff and poop, and I can also address the situation with my dog at the same time. So I guess sometimes, there's a season for everything, right? But I haven't heard from the trolls at all. But I will let you know if I do. At this point now, I will just screenshot whatever they write me. So they haven't said anything now since yesterday, but if I hear from Daryl, if I hear from Carolyn, if I hear from anyone else, I will screenshot it and I'll put it for everyone to go see. I won't put their email address because I'm not going to dox them like that. I'm not doing it like that, but I will show you what they say to me. I will show how mean they can be if they choose. They think because I didn't expose them and all the shit that they freaking said, they think I'm never going to do it, but I didn't really bring it out. I wanted to deal with it myself. I wanted to deal with them one-on-one. I didn't want to crowd fund that situation. But now that I put it out there, they put themselves on Amazon. Not so much Daryl, but he's on the debunking group. But then they put themselves on Amazon. I'm gonna address Amazon bullshit and them defaming me publicly. And then if they want to write to me behind fucking closed doors, I don't mind opening up the fucking door and letting everybody see what's inside. I let the Humane Society in my house. Okay? I'll let any government official come to my house if they really have to for whatever, thing. So I'm not opposed to that, but I needed to deal with that on my own for the last couple of years. Okay? So I want you guys to understand why I did that yesterday, because it's time that be exposed. It's time that everyone sees what I was dealing with. That I was dealing with some shit. When I was dealing with my dog and having people in my ear telling me I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm going to kill, I'm a this, I'm that, whatever, and I'm a horrible person, and me having to deal with my dog at the same time, obviously she was never going to fucking survive anyways. Because I was stressed out from all the fucking shit that I was getting, and the frequencies were insane, and people are talking smack, and I have a book out, and people are, not understanding, and you see, and I still was fine. I mean, I got through it. My husband and I got through it together. That's another, thing that we got through together. And it's made our relationship stronger. Today is his birthday. He is 48 years old. He's only a year younger than me. And he's doing good. I asked him how his back was, and he said it's better. His sleeping in the truck is a little bit better, or maybe the frequencies weren't as crazy. I don't know. So I'm glad. Okay. And he's doing good. And I'll say that he is a rich man. He is a rich man because of his capabilities. Of course, I'm a rich woman because of my capabilities. And so now I finally learned, like today, John and I actually today, we learned about the gold standard. Thank you, Audrey, to Jason. But yeah, John and I learned about the gold standard because I hear about the gold standard. Thanks, John. But I didn't really look it up. And I kind of knew that, okay, yeah, everything's backed by gold, Fort Knox, and right. And if you open up Fort Knox, are you going to see gold in there? Probably not. It's probably guarded so you don't see that there is no gold in there. And if there is, I'd be surprised. There might be, who knows, but there might be gold bullions. But do we ever trade with gold, really? And so anyways, and so I figured out that the Rothschilds, remember how demonized they were? Remember how everybody was like, so up against hating the social security numbers or the national health care number over there in the UK. They're like, oh, you've been stamped with, you are publicly traded on the open market. And yeah, you are goods and services. You are your country. You are currency. Your body is currency. But you saw the last couple years, even I got involved with that when this lady, Susie, some of you know who Susie is. I'm not going to say her last name. Some of you know who she is. Susie was all into that. Of course, she's in the right-wing Trump. Okay, nothing wrong with that. We all have our politics. But she was like, yeah, here, this is how you get, I'll tell you, I still have documents that I sent to the government to go get ratified by something. But there was a way where you even filled out your passport, right? And or they're trying to get their treasury, their Social Security treasury accounts where they can pay their bills. I mean, let me tell you, that shit was going on the last, in like during the time that I was doing the whole J Juice world. And so when it was a passport, you had to fill it out a certain way, and there's a website that told you how to, gave you a step-by-step process how to fill out your passport application, where you didn't acknowledge something, or you left something out, or you said something differently, and I forget exactly what it was, but they still gave me my passport, even though I didn't fill it out correctly, and I said things that sounded like a freaking conspiracy. And so I can only imagine what the passport office people were saying, like, who the hell is this? And then that was really the time where people were using their treasury account numbers to go and try to tap into them, pay their bills. They were using their actual treasury account numbers. Or they said they were. Who the hell knows? I'm telling you, so much has gone on the internet. I've been through so many different rising and falling of financial campaigns, to conspiracy stuff, to starseed, to religions and politics and science, and it's some of that stuff I still see it resurge. Like someone's like, oh yeah, the Social Security numbers are all horrible, and oh God, don't do this and don't do that. But then you realize that the Rothschilds, they were correct, because when you have that many people on this earth, okay, when your people are burying babies all over the place, how is that baby going to contribute? Is it going to just keep consuming? What kind of skill is it going to have? How is it going to interact with society? What is this kid going to do for the world? And is it going to keep taking and taking and taking? What is it going to give? What is it going to contribute? And so each person, no matter how, and even your activism, even you being on a pension, okay, or getting disability, because you've obviously injured yourself on the job, so you have disability, and you're sitting there just plunking away being a keyboard activist, you're bringing money to somebody. Because then you're galvanizing, you're crowdfunding, you're crowdsourcing, you're bringing in people into an idea and into a thought process that someone's going to capitalize on. And then you're going to be like, oh, my check, I'm going to go and invest in crypto over here, and invest in gold over here, and invest in this over here. So you're taking maybe $100 out of your pension, out of your disability, to go and put money towards this campaign. So even those that are sitting at their ass at home on Social Security making $500 a month is still contributing to the economy until their last dying breath, okay? And they have commodified your emotions, your desires, your fears. That's the fucking world. That's the Rothschilds. That's genius. That's freaking genius. Oh my God. And it took me a minute to figure it out, because of watching the crypto people getting all crazy over crypto, watching people are like putting their money into gold and silver and plutonium or whatever. And then of course they beat the battle drums. They're in their right wing, left wing, middle wing, politics, and your religions. Religions are money too, and your science dogmas are money. Everything is commodified. That's why the Vatican is built of gold, because they knew how to commodify religion. Look at the Vatican. That should tell you how much money there is in religion. How much, and you look at the hospital system. You look at the hospitals. They have beautiful entrances, beautiful buildings. Look at biotech, gorgeous buildings. The CEOs are driving fancy ass cars. Do you realize how much money is in the health and wellness industry? How much money is in everything? And then you're living off adrenaline. And so this global warming is like giving you all the energy. It's like taking all these gold bullions and taking the sun and positioning, taking the sun and a magnifying glass, and then taking and directing that light onto the gold, and it's making that gold so shiny and so hot that you're so greedy for money and so greedy for energy, and you want to live off the adrenaline, and you want to live high on the hog. well, we're going to give you so much energy called global warming. We're going to take all this gold that you want, that you're so like, oh, gaga over, like my precious Mr. Smeagol, and you're going to sit in a room and sit with all that gold as the sun is glinting and casting those photons at you, and you will sit and burn up in that gold. That's exactly what global warming is you want all the fucking free energy, you want to be all greedy, and you want to go and exploit your friends and family and everything else. Well, here, we're going to fucking do it for you. We're going to give you everything you possibly want, and you won't be able to do anything with it. You won't know what to do with it. You will burn yourself out, and that's what people are doing. They're burning themselves out by chasing the almighty dollar, by chasing the currency. See, I understood. I mean, it's kind of like a no duh. It's like basic that, okay, how does currency, what makes currency worth something? Yeah. China's RMB back in 2003 was like 7 to 1. It was seven RMB to every $1 of US dollar. So I brought like $2,000. So that was like $14,000 that I had to spend in China. And China was up and coming at that time. So, and they were just opening up the doors to the West. And they were really, interested in our capitalism and entrepreneurial stuff and all that stuff. And so, I was like a little rock star going into China. And so then I'm like, oh, well, the US dollar was so strong back then. It was so strong. And the RMB wasn't very strong. So, of course, you couldn't take an RMB and you couldn't go very far in America because America's goods and services were far more expensive than what the RMB could convert to. And so, you go to a poor country, you can buy up the whole freaking country, right? Because you come from a goods and service. You have knowledge behind you. You could actually bring up that poor country to be something amazing. And so, any foreigner going into a third world country or anywhere could be worth a lot of money. And that's why when people go to third world countries and they're not aware of how shit works, they get kidnapped. They get they get ransoms put on them. See, we have these kids that go to spring break, they go to Mexico, they go to other places. They're like, oh yeah, like, what was that? Thailand? I forget with that girl Claire Danes and that chick, and they were trafficking drugs and they didn't know it because that dude put drugs in her bag and then they put in a prison. We have girls from the US that don't realize how much they're worth. That's why human trafficking is at an all-time high, because girls and boys don't know how much they're actually worth in the sex trafficking, in the labor, in all this stuff. And so now more than ever, you have to realize what it is that people are trading on. They're trading on your body. And that's the medical system. That's the holistic system. That's every fucking system out. That's every single activism out there. They're trading on your body. Now you have to realize that when they're speeding up the particles and you're feeling like last night, I was feeling energetic. Oh my God. Yesterday, energetic. I was scrubbing the kitchen. I was cleaning my silverware drawer. I was trying to watch a movie, but I was like, no, I'll watch that later. But I was just cleaning stuff. And then I was still energetic. I didn't go to bed till maybe like around midnight. And then I was up at 3 a.m. just blowing my nose. So I'm listening to Scott Peterson case and somebody's, spin on it as far as they didn't have all the evidence figured out and he was wrongfully accused, all that stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. And listen to others. I always listen to nightly news and hear the stuff around the world. But then I kind of sort of go back to sleep, but not really. Then around 4 a.m, I'm so hungry. So freaking hungry. Okay, this doesn't happen very often, but I was so hungry. Even right now, I'm a little bit hungry. I drink my coffee with whipped cream. Then I had to go downstairs, and I made my husband over the weekend some egg salad for egg salad sandwiches, and so I had some left. And I don't really like egg salad. It's just, I don't know, it's just too, I mean, if I put stuff in it like celery, but he doesn't like celery. But anyway, so I had that left over, and I had the probiotic yogurt, and you saw what I ate at 4 in the freaking morning because the particles were accelerating so quickly, and it kept me up. It overrode my melatonin. But eventually my melatonin will catch up and I'll be tired. But I'll tell you, this energy is extraordinary. You have to feed it and you're going to feel stuff. You will feel stuff. This is where people are going to feel the most pain as they keep accelerating the particles. Because when they're accelerating the particles, you're going to feel your body try to push out the damage of which people have been under operation after operation and medicine after medicine. The body's going to push out the foreign objects push out the damage, and the person's going to feel the pain, try to get on even more stronger medication, more operations. It's a losing battle. But again, you can't tell people that. But as the climate keeps warming up and I'm feeling it, it's going to be like today, it's going to be in the 50s. Oh, we're going to go from extremely cold winter to like a summer like that. And it's going to be like sitting in a room full of gold bullions with somebody put their magnifying glass and glinting the sun and directing it right onto your gold bullions. You're going to be fucking hot and you're going to be in pain. And people who are bigger, they'll be like, yeah, this is awesome. They're going to be converting energy like that. They're going to be doing stuff and doing this. They're going to be burning out. That's why you have to understand your limits in this type of environment, because it is so accelerated that, yeah, you're getting all this free energy. I'm telling you, I feel good right now. I feel fucking amazing. Even though when I was tired, or not tired, I'm sorry, when I was hungry at 5 in the morning, and 4 in the morning, I couldn't sleep, so I went and got food. Finally, and I put on The Giver, and you saw what I was watching, The Giver, which I watched before, but I didn't watch it, for a while. Finally, I turned it away because I knew I was going to fall asleep, but I turned it to something else, I think an Adam Sandler movie, and I fell asleep. And so I say, eat to sleep, eat to be awake, eat to poop, eat to stay alive. You eat for every single freaking feeling, symptom, everything that you can think of. Eat for everything. Eat for the fucking world. Okay? Because in this environment, you cannot afford to not eat. You can't. Because it is so aggressive. To where you get up at 5 in the morning, and Astery, I think that's how to say her name. I don't know how to say her. She also was feeling hungry this morning too. So the particles are accelerating astronomically. And again, if you are in extremely warm climates like Florida, you're going to be seeing some shit. Hurricanes are going to be coming stronger. Okay? You got to realize that you're in for some shit. You're going to have to find ways to get out. That's why I say those that are in the coasts, the 3 coasts, get out if you can, because it's not, I'm telling you, you're feeling it now. It's going to be aggressive even later. Okay. And so I'm going to read this thing about hold on. Oh, shit. Okay, let me do this. I'm feeling the energy. This is insane. All right, let me do this. Let me just read this. Okay. I don't know. There's so much I want to tackle. Okay, but I just got to go through it step by step. Because I want to get ahead of myself and just be like, bleh. And then you get it, and it's all organized, and you get it. But no, I have to go through word by word, inflection by inflection. And that's hard when your brain's working fast in this fucking environment. So what makes your currency go further than somebody else? It's the goods and services you provide. Okay? So you are currency. All right? And so the Rothschilds were geniuses. And that's why, they biotech and the banking industry and the Department of Energy all work together, because if biotech can go making hormones, all this and all that, then you want stuff. And then they can parade stuff like on TV, commercials, and they get your friends and family to go and influence. Like I watched a movie about that where someone goes into a community and influences people to buy items. I think it's like the Joneses, or Follow the Joneses, or Keep Up with the Joneses, I forget. But David Duchovny, and he played a character with his wife and the 2 kids. They were all actors, and they were representing like Givenchy or Gucci or some latest phone or car. And they would go into the high schools, they would go into the golfing community, and these were like in a community of like whales, like people who were relatively upper class, and they would go and host parties where they would then bring out the items that were so like, ooh, this is the newest thing on the market, the newest phone, the newest shoes, the newest laptop, the newest this, the newest golfing thing. And people were just like all gaga over the newest shit. And you see dollar signs, and you see this, and they would go in and influence them to go buy this stuff, right? And so desire is what's being commodified. That's what the whole porn industry, when you get guys, they're all like hot to trot, and they all want these cute girls that are skinny and wearing nothing. And they've been exposed to porn, and they've had sex at an early age, and they're going after every single, girl or boy or whatever. And then that's being commodified. That's another way to make people, turn people into money. Because of their desires. They want the biggest car, the biggest boat, the biggest this, the biggest that. My husband, likes boats, and I lessened all of my desires. All my body parts work, but I've lessened the desires. I don't have a desire. I've never had desire for material stuff, ever. It's all survival for me. And so I'm not going to be exploited that way. No one can parade around shiny baubles and I'm like, oh, God, no, I'm not into that. That's how you get exploited, and that's how you get people to exploit you, is when you have not controlled your hormones, your desires. Okay? So the Rothschilds were geniuses. They understood biotech. They understood the financial market. They understood everything. I got to hand it to them, man. That's why they're billionaires. That's why they are a dynasty that you'll never, ever, ever, ever defeat, because they have created your fucking world. They have given you everything that you could possibly want or don't want. And some of you don't even know that, some of you don't even know what to do with what the things that they've given you. Okay? So they knew how to monetize desires, needs, goods, and services. And so when people say, oh yeah, the rain and the air and the sun and all that is free. No, it's not. Because for you to be in an area where rain and air and sun are there, you're going to have to expend energy to go and have your creature comforts, to have the food, to sleep on a bed, to build your shelter. Okay? You're going to have to use what you have inside, your knowledge, your energy, to expend. But then in a community, in a society, when you have now cars and you have other people to think about, and you have to have food and you have to have water and air and sanitation, then you're paying for somebody who is maintaining all of that. People are like, oh no, I don't want to pay for electricity. I don't want to pay for water. It's all free from Mother Earth. Yeah, well, if you're going to sit on fucking Mother Earth, you're going to have to figure out, you can't just take from her. You got to give back on some level. That's exactly what the Rothschilds did, is they understood Mother Nature at its most micro level force and the kind of energy you expend to survive. And there has to be that quid pro quo and also a little bit of reserve. So you have something to fall back on when things change like that. That's called insurance. Okay. So me learning the government way of doing stuff, like with insurance, because the insurance field is a government agency. So I actually worked for the government for years when you think about it. Even though they was working for private companies, they were still regulated by the Department of Insurance. All right. So I understand now where the government's coming from. It took me a minute. It took me a minute to go and play around in the conspiracy world and the activist world. But now I understand the bigger picture. And so they knew how to monetize desires, needs, goods, and services. And they were correct. You couldn't just steal from the land without giving back to it. So the gold standard has been gone a long time ago. Obviously, you saw how many crypto companies were coming up and people were trading fucking thin air. Okay. And so my worth is based upon, I have 40 credits to Social Security. So I get like maybe a little bit more than 1,000 a month if I were to actually draw it at 62, maybe more if I waited to like 67 or 70. My husband will probably get more. So I won't get a whole lot when you think about it. And I don't need a lot anyways. But, and so goods and services. Okay. And so my worth is determined over the long haul longevity. And so that will be my backup. And then anything else on top of that, whatever more that I want, then I'll have to go and either work or sell more books or write more books. Right. And so then that will bring us to a certain level. And of course, they're taking certain industries out of the US. They're going to bring everyone to an equilibrium where everyone's going to be competing on a level playing field. And no country is going to be more than the other country. Well, we all have our job. You'll see the movie The Giver in Netflix. And they'll tell you that's exactly the future. You know, kids are going to be in like, you know, birthing areas and people come in and hug them and all that. And everyone's given a job and just watch that movie. It's actually pretty good. And so my worth is based upon the longevity. But right now, people who are temporary are going to try to get as much as they can. And they will burn themselves out, but they will be giving their almighty dollar and their energy to a company, to the government at some point. And so in a lot of ways, you really can't get in the way of that. I mean, not that you could, but you can. Don't waste your energy on trying to convert someone who's temporary. Just don't even waste your energy. Let them burn out. Let them burn out all of what they have. Let them just expend their energy. Let them spend their money. Again, you don't have any say in what people do with their finances or their body, but don't try to think that you have power to convert somebody else. save yourself, understand the financial market, understand the biotech, understand Department of Energy, understand HARP, CERN, and Wi-Fi. Everything all works together. The EPA, the CDC, USDA, FDA, they all work together, okay, as far as America. And the same thing over there in the UK and or Great Britain or England and Scotland and Ireland and all that. It's all the same stuff. And they're trying to bring everyone up to the same standard, even in Africa. But that's going to take a minute, okay? They have to get their duckies in a row and get people online and all that. And they're doing that. That's why Bill Gates goes into these places. That's why a lot of companies go in, or companies and Americans in the West, they go into different third world countries and try to bring up to a certain standard. Of course, there's the indigenous population that don't want to... But they have to figure out how they're going to manage these resources. And so you can't force people to be like, to change their culture. So then you have the climate change, and they're going to give you all the energy you could possibly freaking want. And people will convert it to their benefit, or they'll convert it to not their benefit, and they'll burn out. Okay. And then if their light is so bright, too bright for you, then you put on your sunglasses and walk the hell away. And that's also what we need to do as far as friends and family. If their light is too bright for you and it's sucking the life out of you, you'll walk the fuck away. Okay? Because I'm telling you, people's lights are going to be really, really bright, especially during this climate change, because they'll be producing so much energy. And so people get triggered and they're destroying themselves. We have stabbings here in Canton, Ohio. Stabbings and shootings, and I just stay off the street. I don't really mix in with large crowds. I don't go to bars, really. And even if I did, I really don't. Because we know that's where all the alcohol, where all the shit happens, and people get triggered, stepping on toes. You don't want to be caught in the crossfire. That's why they have the delivery services, okay? That's why they have all that, because as soon as the climate changed in 2019, 2020, and Walmart was getting up on their delivery services and DoorDash and Grubhub, they're giving you a chance to get out of the crossfire. They already know this is going to happen. That's... It's not organic, okay? I mean, it took Walmart a minute to figure out their stuff, but they're good. I mean, I think the guy forgot a tomato, not the guy, but the Walmart, when I ordered the same day on a Friday, which is really not a good idea because it's really busy, they forgot one tomato. And so I went on there and said, okay, you forgot a tomato. They refunded me the whole thing because I ordered 2 tomatoes and they only gave me 1. And so they gave me $2.40 back. Okay, big deal. I mean, I was contemplating on whether or not I should claim that, but we claim it. Okay, and they returned the money and I'm happy. And they're actually really good. They're actually really good. So utilize that if you can. That way you don't have to get caught up in all the riffraff, because Walmart is full of different people, or your grocery store at certain times are full of people that in America, everyone has guns, or most people have guns and knives, and maybe in the UK and Scotland, they don't have that too much, but they have knives and stuff. But we have shootings that happen a lot, okay? And so I'm very aware of that, even happening at convenience stores and gas stations. And so you really got to be careful where you go. And I don't say I live in the ghetto, but I definitely live in a more questionable part of town. But the FBI actually has been down again. Like I said, they know this whole street. They know my whole street. And I see them occasionally go by, maybe the FBI, because they are in their unmarked cars, but also the police that come through. And so my actual little area here is relatively peaceful. A tiny little slice of peace in a crazy ass neighborhood. All right, so, wow. So right now, my worth will be determined over the long haul, longevity, because I keep up with the energy. I have Social Security to back me up. For however long, and since people usually die after they get Social Security in America, that goes to the government or goes to the next of kin. Well, I'm going to be around. So if I could live, very minimally on the Social Security and whatever else, that I do as on the side, as a side gig, I'm fine with that. And I could save my pennies to go fly somewhere if I really need to. Probably not going to take on any dependents, okay? And so that's the thing, is that my worth will be based upon how long. And again, the whole thing with the student loans, yeah, if I get a job and it's income based, then, they do a percentage of your income. Since I don't have a job right now,
per se. My husband is working, but I took on those student loans before him, so he is not saddled with them. See, my student loan debt has nothing to do with my husband. People are like, well, why does your husband pay the student loans? Because he has nothing to do with it. He should not be saddled with that. That is my debt that I will deal with. And so if it's income driven and I'm not making an income, then yeah, it'll collect interest, or maybe it will be written off down the road, hopefully. But again, like anything, we'll see what the Supreme Court says, or just whatever court that's going through this. But I'm not worried about it, because I'll be around for however long, and if it comes to that where it is income driven forever, if there is no statute of limitations on writing off the debt, and they say anyone that carries it, even if it's like 50 years ago, you still got to pay it. Okay, fine. I'll pay it, but they know shit's going to change. A lot of things are changing. All right. So, so I'm not worried about that, but that's the debt that I carry, is basically student loans. It's the fucking knowledge, and then all the stupid trauma of all the bullshit, but I still survived it. And I'm trying to give back to my community by giving you guys a heads up how to deal with stuff. Right. So right now people are trading on adrenaline, get rich quick, and the environment is giving them inflated amounts of currency that will pop. And that's where people are going to be burning the fuck out. So know your limits. Know your limits. And if you've had so many surgeries and you're on so much medication and you're aging, slow down. Slow the fuck down. Because right now, even when you're sitting, the energy is accelerating. It's like as if you were walking and continuously walking. Okay? And so you have to realize how to manage the free energy that's being given to you. And taking out your Wi-Fi and smart meters and everything is really not going to make a difference when you think about it in the scheme of things, because again, there's Wi-Fi in other people's houses, there's cell towers, there's amplifiers, the HARP and the CERN and the Wi-Fi and all the different cell towers all work together. And so if you're online on your phone, even if you take your phone and turn it off, it doesn't. You still turn it on, you get whatever. I mean, so trying to avoid the frequencies is really not the answer, because there's no way in a society that you live in to avoid frequencies, because you don't get it in the crazy weather. If you want to be an off-gridder and live in the snow, like Jim Long, he came back on my Facebook, and he's now, he's a survivalist, but he's living in the snow in the Sierras. He's a badass dude. He'll do that for as long as he can. Okay, fine. But the frequencies are getting him through the weather. If you're living out there in Key West, Florida, the frequencies, and you're thinking like, I'll turn off my Wi-Fi, do that, which people are not going to really do. But the hurricanes and the storms are going to kick your ass. Nobody is escaping Judgment Day. Here in Ohio, remember I said like Ohio, the Great Lakes, the best place to live? Well, yeah, it is. But remember, algae bloom, global warming, the fish are going to be dying off because of the algae bloom. We're not going to get the snow, the ice, to cover the lake. And so when you have lake effect snow and it's so cold, and then you have all the blizzards and the feet and feet of snow, I would assume at some point the snow belt around Cleveland, around the lake, Cleveland and all of that up north, and all around the Great Lakes right nearby, they're going to be under feet and feet of snow. Will we get what the snow belt got over where I'm at? We might. I'm not ruling out large amounts of snow. Okay, but at this point, I can handle it. And I'm okay with snow versus crazy ass fucking tornadoes. Okay, but, and I have a very steep roof. It's a 3-story house. I have a steep roof, but, I mean, snow is snow. And then, about floods, you're saying that eastern Ohio is going to be under flood because of, the Ohio River and all that. Well, we'll deal with that as it comes. All right. But I mean, I'm at this point, I'm ready to deal with whatever I can. This is not horrible to me. It's manageable. As far as California and the atmospheric rivers, okay, that's pretty crazy. And all the snow, okay, that's crazy. But that map that I showed people, that's probably the future. But what are we going to be dealing with between now and the future? There's going to be a lot of freaking games we're going to have to play. A lot of bullets we're going to dodge. A lot of weather we're going to have to deal with. And we have to be prepared for it. And so with the algae bloom and the blizzards and the fish die off, okay, so then boaters, people who fish, they're not going to be able to fish anymore. Because if you think Lake Erie is going to go through that kind of stuff at the shores, with all the algae bloom and stuff. Imagine the lakes, the reservoirs. Okay, so even boating is not going to be in the future with all this climate change. Fishing, boating, bass tournaments. So get it in now. Get all your fishing and hunting and all that in now, because eventually there's no telling how it's going to change the wildlife in your area. And since I'm like more in the inner city, I'm not next to the lake. I'm not next to, even though, well, we're still a few whatever from the Ohio River. I mean, if the Ohio River really breaches its banks and gets so flooded, I mean, will it come all the way to where I'm at? I mean, like anything is possible. We have little creeks and all that stuff. Will they get, huge? Who knows? There's no guarantees with anything, but so be prepared for everything. Okay, especially America and of course the UK, Scotland. Be prepared for everything. Don't think that where you are is 100% safe. Is it manageable? You think you can survive a flood, a bunch of rain, a bunch of snow? I don't want to deal with a hurricane on a flat land. I would not want to be in an island over there down in the Gulf or in the Atlantic or even the Pacific. Hawaii is like, I wouldn't want to live in Hawaii either at this point during climate change, because you don't know how aggressive it is. And if you're caught somewhere on a peninsula, you don't have a lot of recourse to get to higher ground. Okay? And so right now, people are trading on adrenaline, get rich quick, and the environment is giving them inflated amount of currency that will pop. Global warming is when you will have so much energy, free energy, people will burn themselves out, which is why you're supposed to retire at a certain age and get Social Security or a pension. And so it's the system giving back to you for all those years of living off adrenaline, chasing bubbles in the USA. Okay, so around sickness is always the energy before the next upgrade. And so, yeah, when you feel sick, whatever it is, I don't care if you want to diagnose somebody or yourself, sickness is just the energy before the next upgrade. It is the upgrade. But you have to know how to release the old energy, release the old stuff, the old currency, and retain the new currency. And food is currency. People are actively denying themselves food. And so they're losing currency. People actively are an activist against food. They're denying themselves currency. And will they have what it takes in their body to convert the energy? No, because they're too skinny, or they have so much currency in their body, so much of it, that it is too bright for them and it will shut down vital organs over time or at some point. Okay, so the system figured out how to manage your currency and make it so extreme on either end. And then they sold you all the different remedies, all the different types of things to then manage your currency, manage your retention and your release. They commodified, that's what I'm saying, the medical and the holistic system commodified every single artery, capillary, hormone release, hormone retention, everything. That's why you have, again, a Social Security number. But in the in Europe or United Kingdom, UK, Britain, whatever, you have the national healthcare number, because that's how they manage your currency, your body. So medicating away symptoms, no matter how small, is starting to race to the bottom. Okay? Dieting, no matter how clean it is, race to the bottom. Morgue. Surgeries, no matter how small it is, a race to the bottom. It all starts in utero, reinforced as an infant, cemented during adolescence. And so, yeah, once your kids get to a certain age and they're already programmed for the system, just let it go. Yeah, I mean, you could do everything you can to impart them on information, but if they're going to school and they're getting in one argument that's very influential, and then there's you, they're going to have to figure out, they're going to have to choose, just like the Amish, they're given a choice at a certain age. You can live the Amish way, or here, go out for a year or go out for a month, I forget what it is, in the city and experience what it's like to be a regular person that's not Amish. And then you choose the Amish life or the mainstream Gentile life, or whatever they call that. And so some people choose, our waiter over at one of the restaurants we were at, he grew up in an Amish, and he chose to be a waiter and not work at the Amish place, where he grew up. Okay, so you as a parent are going to have to figure out how influential you're going to be to your kid, or you're going to let the system influence them. And when the system influences them, you know they're going to be in the medical system. You know they're going to be in the holistic system. You know they're going to be commodified at every fucking point in time. And they're going to be riding on adrenaline like that. So you just got to know that you got to be representation and let your kids decide at some point. Because they will. They're going to. You can't force it. All right? And so many adults become intolerant, justifying their intolerance and deficiencies via politics, their religions, backed up by their biased arguments in science, physics, chemistry, and biochemistry. So we're learning now that there's more than just one argument. There's more than just one way. You know, there's a million ways to skin a cat. And that's a horrible analogy, but there's a million ways. But you have to look at the outcome. If you believe people should die, then you will have a million ways to pass away. Okay? A million, more than that, trillion ways. If you believe people should live, then you will realize that you're going to have to get away from those that are commodifying your body parts. And you're going to have to watch out for people who try to exploit you, that are like the Smeagol's, that they'll glom onto you, taking your resources, taking your time, your resources, your energy, and sucking the life out of you. And so then you have to then cut down your lifestyle and belief systems and stuff so you can save yourself from those that are vampiring you. Okay? Yeah, vampiring off of you. And so, yeah. It's going to be a little bit shorter because I'm feeling a little bit like, but I'm going to recoup my resources. I'm going to eat some food and stuff like that and chill out because I feel the energy. Oh, I feel it. So the Great Lakes will be a great place to live, but we will have our own hell. Okay, so warming lakes and loss of ice covered over time will be coupled with more extreme rainfall, likely inciting more harmful algae blooms, said Nataro. These blooms largely are from agricultural runoff, creating thick green mats on the lake surface that can be toxic to humans, fish, and pets. And then, of course, extreme amounts of snow. All right. So we're not totally insulated over here in the Great Lakes, but you can survive it. Again, if you know that these algae blooms and you're compromised and you have open wounds, you're not going to go jump into the Great Lakes. When I was swimming in the lakes a couple years ago, I hated swimming in the lakes because they were shallow. Everybody and their mother was in there. You see these things floating, look like little poops, and you're like, are kids shitting in the fucking lake? I mean, to me, swimming in the lake is just gross. I can't do it. I can't do it now anymore. Swimming in pools, I really can't do it. If it's a saltwater pool, okay. But even now, going to really to hot spots where so many people are hanging out together and there's a pool, that's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Okay, I mean, yeah, that'll boost your immunity, but damn, some people are not prepared for that. They die from, jumping into public pools. They die from jumping into lakes. They die from, flesh-eating bacteria, brain-eating bacteria, because it's so aggressive. And so the whole, right, Audrey? So the whole, J-World is about, yeah, you're going to have to deal with things floating in the air. You're going to have to deal with stuff coming, through the weather, and you don't know what things are being scooped up over here and then brought over here and then rained down over here. And so, you got to now deal with your environment much, you don't want to be putting more strain on you, especially if you're immunocompromised and go jumping into lakes and streams and stuff. Right now in this type of global warming, oh no, you won't be boating as much. You won't be swimming as much. People are like, well, then what are we going to do? People are going to just jump in there. They want their regular life. They're going to go jump in these lakes and they're going to deal with infection, major infection. And so I'm just giving you a warning of what's to come. They've been telling you, oh my God, they've been telling you. And so I have a bunch of salt in my house. That's for when, when I feel stuff and then I make myself a soup. Salt, cabbage, meat, and vegetables and other stuff, and with the bread and the cheese and all of that. And so the salt is for making sure that I stay alive. Not so much that I'm trying to waterfall everything out. No, because you're going to need every ounce of proteins and substance in this new world. You are. So we're in for some shit. All right. So that's all I'm going to say, because I did a long video yesterday and today I feel it. Ooh, last night was crazy. So things can happen at 3:00 in the morning. Things can happen at 2 in the morning, and then your body reacts to it. And that's why you feel hungry, really hungry, when you didn't before. other nights. Oh yeah, the frequencies are changing. All right, shifting constantly. All right, bye.